Hey, Solo here. If you clicked on this video, you're probably in search of the fastest way to upgrade your exotic weapon catalysts. Well, you're in luck. Recently, I've been upgrading all my catalysts to prep for the release of Final Shape, and I compared 5 of the most popular farming spots to see which was the best. In this video, I will give a top 5 list of these farming spots with a bit of a twist. Rather than going from worst to best, I will go from best to worst. This way, you can find out what the best farm is for you faster. I will also give each of these spots an efficiency and hassle rating, with 5 being the best and 1 being the worst, similar to product reviews. Plus, I will also explain and show how to get to each of these spots in case you don't know them. Before we get into it though, let me show you an optimal build that will help accelerate your progress no matter what farm you use. In summary, this build is a Deadfall Orpheus rig setup. Let's start with the subclass. First, you'll want to go on the Night Stalker Hunter. For the super, you'll want the Deadfall Tether. Then, make sure to use Marksman's Dodge for reloads. For aspects, I recommend using Vanishing Step and Stylish Executioner for constant invis, but it doesn't really matter too much. For aspects, make sure to use Echo of Arthas, Starvation, and Persistence. These will help keep Devour up while farming. Also, I recommend using Echo of Reprisal to help accelerate that super regen, since you'll mostly be surrounded by combatants. Now, for armor, Orpheus Rig will be the heart of this build, helping refund your tethers. Also, use orb regeneration mods like Reaper and Siphon mods, depending on your current weapon element. These will refresh Devour and help regen your super too. The ammo mods aren't a bad choice either, as you'll be surrounded by combatants, so you can just dodge near them and boom, you got some super regen. Overall, this build isn't too complex. It's mainly just Chain Devour and Infinite Tethers for a quick and easy ad clear. Well, with the build done, let's get into the list. The first and best farm in my opinion is the Pantheon. Well, to be more specific, the Golgroth farm within the Pantheon, Atrax's Sovereign Challenge. You may not know, but since the first boss of the Pantheon is Golgroth, this activity is essentially giving away the checkpoint for free, meaning you don't have to go through LFG finding or run King's Fall yourself to save the checkpoint every week. To get to this farm, all you need to do is launch the Atrax's Sovereign Pantheon Challenge under the Into the Light node, and boom, you're there. I've completed most of my catalysts here because of how efficient it is. However, I want to highlight that from now until June 3rd, when Pantheon ends, the checkpoint required for this farm is going to be available anytime. As I said before, with Pantheon out, the checkpoint is available, but when Pantheon goes away, obviously it won't be anymore, and Golgroth farm will return to King's Fall only, unless they decide to bring Pantheon back, which I hope they do, but we don't really know. It's for this reason that I suggest completing all your catalysts during this time period. Keep in mind that this activity is 1810 power recommended though, and the enemies will also be 5 power above your current power level. Because of this, the enemies here can hurt, and that's why I recommended running Invis and Devour to make sure you stay up while you're farming. In terms of efficiency, this farm is great. You can refresh each time with the full ammo thanks to rally banners, and I roughly get about 10% for 700 kills, which is about 70 kills per run. So this farm gets a 5 for efficiency. Regarding the power requirement though, I have to give this a hassle rating of 4. Just simply because if you aren't up to power, this farm just will not work, and also you will have to infuse weapons if they are 1600, just pulling them out of your collections. That is kind of annoying, but besides that, really, this farm is fantastic. If you don't feel like infusing or simply are not up to power, the next option might be a better choice. Alright, the second best farm in my experience is, yes, the famous Shuro Chief farm. This used to be my main farm before Pantheon released, and although it may be tedious to get to, having to put in the wish every week in order to get the checkpoint, this farm gets the job done quickly. Plus, it's also 1600, so no infusing, yay! If you do not know this farm, to get to it, all you have to do is launch the last wish raid. Go to the wish room as shown here. I grapple in the clip, but you can also scale across the rocks, because as you can see there's a path, you just kind of go up in a spiral, or you can probably just jump and mantle on these rocks that I just grappled past. Once you enter the wish room, all you have to do is input the Shiro-G wish by shooting the plates on the wall. I will show this wish on screen right here. You can also Google this at any time, and if you don't want to come back to the video whenever you're going to farm for this. Now, once you enter the wish correctly, stand on the plate and you'll be teleported directly to the encounter. Make sure it's right, because if it's wrong, it will wipe your entire attempt. Now, all you need to do is rally and wipe out all the thralls and knights until they stop spawning, or when you see the crystals appear at Shiro-Chi's position. And then just rinse and repeat. For hassle, I have to give this farm also a 4. It is 1600 recommended power, but having to put in that wish every week is just a pain. And honestly, it's kept me from getting my catalyst done. I've been so lazy to do it. Bruh. If you're like me, and sometimes you just can't be bothered to insert this wish every week, perhaps the next farm will be for you. The third farm I found to be the most effective was the Breakneck Mission farm. This farm is decently quick, gives free rally banners, and keeps your checkpoint beyond weekly reset, at least I assume so. I haven't ran this farm in months, and when I went to launch the mission, I actually had the checkpoint still there. So I'm pretty sure it keeps your checkpoint. If it does, awesome. But if you don't know how to get here, all you need to do is launch the mission under the campaign directly on the Yamuna, proceed to the first checkpoint, and make sure to wipe before taking out the majors at the end of the room. If you haven't done the Lightfall campaign, once you reach the Breakneck mission, if you want, you can just complete it, and then it should appear in the directory on Yamuna itself, and you can just farm it there whenever. I give this farm an efficiency rating of 4 and give it a hassle rating of 5. I got about half as many kills in half the time as Shiro-Chi, making this just about the same pace, and the recommended power of 1670 along with the saved checkpoint makes this farm pretty much hassle free. And you also get free rally banners, meaning that the rally banners that you place down do not count as the rally banners that you buy from Hawthorne, which is pretty cool. Moving on here, the last two farms I'd like to mention in this list, I would like to say that they kind of act as honorable mentions, as I just recommend choosing one of the previous 3 that I suggested. They're not as good, but they're not terrible. So if you still need to farm, and maybe you have some requirements that force you to use these farms, like maybe you're a new light or you have low power, etc. These farms are still they're still good. They're decent. They're not great. There's better options if you're able to do them. The fourth farm I'd like to highlight is the Grasp of Avarice farm. To get to the Grasp of Avarice farm, all you have to do is launch the Grasp of Avarice on the Cosmodrome, and boom, that's it, you're there. Just farm the cave where the enemy spawn, but also make sure not to cash in your engrams while keeping up your engram timer. So yeah, once you get to 100 engrams, unfortunately, you're just gonna have to wipe. So this farm shares the hassle-free likes of the Pantheon Golgroth farm, as you can launch this at any time. On top of that, this activity is also 1600 power recommended, so no infusing required here. However, this farm suffers in efficiency. The enemies don't spawn as often, have a lower density, and there is no rally banner here. Meaning that if you want to farm a heavy exotic or a special exotic, it's going to be rough. This farm gets an efficiency rating of 3 for me, as the enemies just do not spawn too often, way less than the previous 2 farm locations, and like I just said before, the lack of special and heavy ammo really cause huge breaks when I'm farming here, and just not as good. Just not as good. Without a doubt though, this gets a hassle rating of 5. You can launch at any time, and hey, 1600 power, no infusing. Overall though, I just recommend doing this farm only if you're not 1810, or just feel like farming without having to jump through any hoops to get to it. Now, last and certainly least, here is the last farming area. The 5th farm in this guide is the Whisper of the Worm Thrall Cave. This was a classic farm back in Season 3, but we are now 20 seasons ahead, and there are much better options for catalyst farming. This mission is recommended power 1810, has no rally banner, and is timed for 40 minutes on normal mode. This means that your farming runs are restricted to around 35 minutes, as it typically takes about 5 minutes to even get here in the first place. To get to this cave, all you have to do is launch the Whisper of the Worm mission, follow the path that I'm showing on video. Basically, it's just the path to actually progress to the mission if you were to do it legit. Once you get to the big, really cool looking IO cave room, all you do is fall through the crack, and that's the farm. That's it. In the darkness, the Shadow Thrall just starts spawning everywhere. Also, the farm itself is not very efficient, as the Shadow Thrall spawn spread out and quite infrequently, not to mention the lack of rally banners. I give this farm an efficiency rating of 2 and a hassle rating of 3. This farm is timed, has mediocre efficiency, and requires a jumping puzzle to get to every time. Honestly, after viewing the previous options, I'm not sure why you would even choose this location. Alright, so here's a review of all the best farming spots I featured in this video. The farms ranked 1 through 3 are all great options, while 4 and 5 are okay. Remember, the Pantheon Golgoth farm will go away on June 3rd, so be sure to take advantage while you still can. The original Golgoth farm is not going anywhere, but it's just a pain trying to find the checkpoint for it every week. But yeah, I hope you found this guide helpful, and hopefully you can complete all those catalysts you need before June 3rd. If there's anything I missed, please feel free to call me on the comments. Also, let me know which farm is your favorite down below. I appreciate you for watching. See ya.